Everybody, and welcome to Nerd Central. Today we are going to be doing another Scratch video. This is going to be part 2, and we're going to be looking at the looks and the sound section. So, the looks section basically focuses on the aesthetic part of your project, and special effects, and the sound focuses on like cool sound effects to enhance your project. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So, first off, we're going to look at the say hello and say, or no, I shouldn't say hello, say value block. So this say block, it says whatever value you put in, so like 8, 9, for how many seconds, so 4 seconds. Pretty straightforward, speech bubble, 89 for 4 seconds. And with this one, it just says it indefinitely until you change it or alter it. So, the next blocks we're looking at is pretty much the same, the think block. So these blocks, it's principally the same as the hello, except it uses thought bubbles. So for 2 seconds, and this one is just indefinite. So the next block we're going to take a look at is switch costume block. Now this block is used to alternate costumes. So as you can see, the cat already has two preset costumes, costume 1 and costume 2. One of them's like running, one of them's just like standing. So when you switch the costume to costume 2, you're just switching it to that costume. And then we can choose a costume from the drop down menu, and bam, switches it back. So that's the switch costume. And there's also the next costume block, which goes to the next costume in the sequence, and once it gets to the bottom, it just goes back to the top. So, yeah, just like that. Next one is the switch backdrop blocks. These ones switch a backdrop. So I have a purple one right here. When you switch it to backdrop 2, it switches it to the purple background. You can go to this backdrop menu, and you can click next backdrop, previous backdrop, and yeah, you can alternate between backdrops. Or you can do random if you really wanted to. So next backdrop, it's principally the same as next costume. So the next block is change size by. Now this, it changes the size relative to what, hold on, let me just change it back. Relative to the size of the sprite right now. So say you wanted to say 50, you will change it by 50. To make it smaller, you just do negative 70, makes it smaller. So yeah, pretty simple. Okay, so the next one is set size to. Now this is kind of like a constant. So if you put 50, no matter how big it's going to be, it will always set to 50 when you run that block. So that's set size to. Next up, we got the change multiple effects by however. Now there's a drop down menu here, and there's a bunch of cool effects that you can add to your project. So the color effect changes the color in the spectrum. 25, it changes, like, kind of goes through like the rainbow colors. If you give it a smaller number, it's going to go through much more different shades of colors. And if you put a bigger value in, it's gonna be very few colors. It's just gonna alternate like back and forth, back and forth. So that's the color effect. The fisheye effect kind of just like makes it weird. It's funny, but yes. And to change it back, you can do negatives. So yeah, if you really wanted to do that to your project, you can. For all those memers. And the whirl effect, this one it's kind of like the same. It makes it look funny. If you really wanted to do that, let me just change that back here. Uh, oh wait. So there's the pixelate effect. Yeah, it makes it pixelated. Probably shouldn't use that great of value. 25 is a good one. So it makes it more pixelated each time. Another effect is the mosaic effect, which splits it into more. And the next effect is the brightness effect, which affects how bright it is. Eventually, when you get too bright, it becomes invisible. So let's change that back. Oh, yeah, and when you go too far, it just goes to pure black. So then we're gonna look at the ghost effect. This one kind of just, the more invisible it is, kind of like the brightness. And then you can make it appear again slowly by putting negative values. So those are all the effects, pretty cool. And then the block after that is clear graphic effects, obviously puts it back to its original state. Next blocks are actually very important, the show and hide block. So if you don't want your sprite to be there at the moment, you can hide it. And then when you want it to appear again, you can click show. So yeah. Next up is go to however layer, front or back layer. This block is used to cut. It's if you have multiple, let's say, backdrops or sprites in your project, and you want one sprite to stick out and not blend in with the others, then you can say go to front layer, and it'll be on top of everything. And if you want it to go behind everything else, you can go to back layer, and it'll go behind everything else. So yeah. Next one is go forward or backward how many layers. Now let's say if you have 5 cats stacked together and then one donut. If you want it to go forward how many layers, you can say 2, then it'll go up 2 cats and it'll be sort of in the middle. And same goes as backwards, you can just go 5 and it'll be at the very back. Okay, so the next one are tick boxes or variable signs for backdrop numbers, costume numbers, and size. So the costume number and name, when you click on this, it'll tell you, so oh yeah, costume 1. If you do the backdrop one, backdrop name, backdrop 1. Backdrop number, number 1. And size, you can see 100%. And you can also tick these boxes just as we did for the X position, Y position, and direction. So it will always update you. Sorry, I just gotta find it here. Alright, so those are all the looks blocks. Now on to the sound blocks. These are pretty straightforward. I'm not going to put too much effort into these. This plays sound, let's say meow. Yeah, it plays a sound until it's finished. Start sound meow, which starts it and might not play until it's finished. Stop all sounds, obviously stops all sounds. Change pitch by 10. This is more for musical people. It increases the pitch or decreases the pitch by how many, so 100, it would make it higher or lower. Then we have the set pitch effect to how many, or pan left and right. So this is kind of on the electric piano, when you bend the pitch lower or higher. So the next is clear sound effects. Obviously removes all sound effects from that are happening right now or at the moment. Change volume by -10. So negative numbers will make your project sound volume decrease, and same with positive numbers, it makes your project volume increase. So then there's the set volume, which is the constant, once again, setting it always to 50%, always 100, or whatever you want. And finally, we have one more variable thingy-majiggy, and this one is the volume. So you can see the volume is 100. And if we take this block, we set it to 50, it will say 50. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in another video on Nerd Central.